The private dining room of Levante was designed to feel untouchable by the outside world. Thick walls muted the noise of the city, and warm amber lighting reflected off marble surfaces polished to a mirror sheen. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the skyline, though the blinds were partially drawn, not to hide the view, but to suggest that what happened inside mattered more than anything beyond it. Marcus Hale sat at the center of the long table like it had been built around him. His suit was dark, custom-fitted, and effortless in the way only money and certainty could make something look. The watch on his wrist caught the light each time he moved his hand, subtle but unmistakably expensive. His phone lay face up beside his plate, lighting up every few seconds with notifications he barely acknowledged. He didn't need to read them to know what they said. Deals progressing, people waiting. Around him sat executives, lawyers, and investors, each one accomplished in their own right, yet instinctively deferential. They laughed when Marcus laughed. They waited for him to speak before offering opinions. Years of success had trained him to expect this rhythm, him at the center, everyone else orbiting. The door opened quietly, and a young waitress stepped inside, her shoes barely making a sound against the carpet. She smoothed her apron once before approaching, posture straight but careful, like someone entering a room where one wrong step could echo. "Good evening," she said, voice calm but polite. "My name is..." "Sparkling water," Marcus said without looking up from his phone. "Room temperature." The waitress hesitated for a fraction of a second, then nodded. "Of course, sir." And quickly, he added, finally glancing up. "We're already behind." "Yes, sir," she said again, retreating with a practiced smile. Marcus set his phone down and scanned the table. "Honestly," he muttered, "it shouldn't take that long to pour water." A man to his right gave a tight laugh. "Staffing shortages everywhere these days." Marcus scoffed. "Excuses. There's no shortage of people. Just a shortage of competence." A few nods followed. No one challenged him. Moments later, another waitress entered, this one carrying menus. She was older than the first, her movements measured, her expression composed. She distributed menus efficiently, stopping briefly at Marcus's seat. "Mr. Hale," she said, acknowledging him by name, "may I offer you our chef's recommendation for tonight?" He glanced at the menu, unimpressed. "I don't eat recommendations. I eat results." She absorbed the comment without reacting. "Very well. Please let me know when you're ready." She moved on, leaving behind a faint trace of something floral and clean. Marcus leaned back in his chair. "This place came highly rated," he said. "Let's hope it lives up to it." The first waitress returned with the water, setting the glass down carefully in front of him. The condensation left a small ring on the table, and she quickly wiped it away with a cloth. "Anything else I can bring you while you're looking over the menu?" she asked. Marcus took a sip, frowned slightly, and set the glass down. "I said room temperature." "It was, sir," she replied gently. The glass itself was chilled. He stared at her now, eyes sharp. "Then next time, use a different glass." "Yes, sir." She didn't argue. She didn't apologize excessively. She simply acknowledged him and stepped back. As she turned, Marcus caught her name tag. Lena. He didn't know why he noticed it. He usually didn't bother. Before she could leave the room, a different waitress approached the table, holding a tablet. She looked nervous, fingers gripping the edges a little too tightly. "Mr. Hale," she said, voice wavering just slightly, "I wanted to let you know that unfortunately we're out of the 1998 Bordeaux you requested earlier. However, the sommelier suggests a 2001 that." Marcus sighed loudly, cutting her off mid-sentence. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. "Did I ask for suggestions?" he said. "If I wanted options, I'd ask. What I asked for was a specific bottle." "I understand, sir," she said quickly. "I just thought." "That's the problem," he snapped. Thinking, "Leave that to people who are paid for it." The room went uncomfortably quiet. One of the executives cleared his throat but said nothing. The waitress flushed. "I'm sorry, sir." "You should be," Marcus replied coolly. "This restaurant markets itself as elite. If it can't deliver, that's not my failure." She nodded, eyes downcast, and backed away from the table as if afraid to turn her back too quickly. Marcus leaned back again, satisfied, as if order had been restored. "That's what happens when standards slip," he said to the group. "People forget their place." A few murmurs of agreement followed, though not as enthusiastic as before. Lena returned then, carrying a small basket of bread. She placed it neatly in the center of the table, her movements smooth and unhurried. "Compliments of the house," she said. Marcus didn't look at her right away. I didn't order bread. It's offered to all our guests, she replied evenly. He finally met her eyes. There was no nervousness there. No forced smile, just calm attention. Well, he said, next time make sure it's warm. It is, she said. Fresh from the oven. He paused, almost disappointed that he couldn't find fault easily. See that it stays that way. Of course, Lena said. She turned to leave, but Marcus spoke again. You know, he said, voice carrying just enough to command the room, efficiency matters. In my world, delays cost millions. Lena stopped and turned back to him. I imagine they do, she said. And yet, he continued, some people treat time like it has no value. She held his gaze. Everyone's time has value, sir. It just gets measured differently. The table went still. Marcus raised an eyebrow, surprised more than offended. Is that so? Yes, she said simply. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The air felt heavier, charged with something unspoken. Then Lena inclined her head slightly. Please let me know when you're ready to order. She walked away, leaving Marcus watching her retreating figure longer than he intended. Someone laughed awkwardly. Confident staff, they said. Marcus forced a smile. Confidence is fine, he replied. As long as it doesn't turn into forgetting who signs the checks. Yet even as conversation resumed, his attention drifted back to the doorway she'd disappeared through. He told himself it was nothing, just a waitress who hadn't learned her place yet. Still, the thought lingered longer than it should have. And for the first time that evening, Marcus Hale felt something unfamiliar at his own table. Not anger, not annoyance, but the faint, unsettling sense that he had underestimated someone. Dessert menus arrived without announcement, placed delicately in front of each guest as if the room itself had decided it was time to move on. Conversation softened into casual confidence, talk of closing numbers, future press releases, and celebratory trips already being planned. The kind of talk that assumed victory before it was officially declared. Marcus Hale was in his element again. He leaned back in his chair, one arm draped over the side, glass raised as he spoke. By this time tomorrow, he said, swirling the amber liquid, Hale Dynamics will own North Star Robotics outright. Clean acquisition, no drama, just smart money absorbing smart tech. The men and women around the table smiled, some raising their glasses in return. Applause followed, polite but genuine. This was the ending they had all expected. Lena returned then, moving with the same calm precision as before. She set a small dessert plate in front of Marcus, a minimalist presentation, dark chocolate and gold flakes arranged with intentional restraint. This is complimentary, she said. From the house. Marcus frowned slightly, eyes narrowing. I don't recall agreeing to free desserts. They're offered for special occasions, Lena replied. And what occasion would that be? He asked. She met his gaze. Milestones. A few people chuckled, assuming it was harmless flattery. Marcus didn't. I don't accept charity, he said flatly. Especially not from businesses that rely on my money to survive. It's not charity, Lena said, her voice steady. And Levante isn't reliant on you. That earned a couple of raised eyebrows. Marcus set his glass down with deliberate care. You should be careful, he said. Confidence can be mistaken for arrogance. She smiled, not apologetically, not submissively. Just a small, controlled expression. I'm aware of the difference. The table fell quiet again, the kind of silence that made people suddenly aware of their breathing. Marcus leaned forward. Tell your manager that next time, he should ask before sending things I didn't request. I will, Lena said. Though he already knows. She turned slightly, preparing to leave. They all work for me, Marcus added, his voice sharp. Whether they know it or not. Lena stopped. She turned back slowly, her expression unchanged, but something in her eyes had shifted, focus sharpening, like a lens clicking into place. Actually, she said, they don't. The words landed softly, but the impact was immediate. Marcus laughed once, short and dismissive. That's funny. It's not meant to be. She reached into her apron and pulled out a slim black folder, edges worn not from neglect but from use. She placed it on the table directly in front of him, aligning it carefully with the cutlery as if even this moment deserved precision. I believe you'll find this relevant to tomorrow's announcement, she said. Marcus stared at the folder for a moment, irritation flashing across his face. I don't know what kind of game you think you're playing. Then open it, Lena said. Something in her tone, calm, certain, made him comply despite himself. He flipped it open, scanning the first page quickly. Then he stopped. His jaw tightened as he turned the page. Then another. The room seemed to tilt. No, he said quietly. This isn't real. Across the table, one of the lawyers leaned forward, curiosity piqued. Marcus. Marcus didn't answer. His eyes were locked on the bold text at the top of the page. Majority stakeholder, L. Moreno. He looked up sharply. This is a mistake. It's not, Lena replied. North Star's founder vanished, he said. Years ago, you sold your shares and disappeared. I stepped away, she said evenly. There's a difference. A murmur rippled through the table. Phones were discreetly unlocked beneath the surface, fingers hovering over screens. You're a waitress, Marcus said, standing now, voice low and disbelieving. Tonight, Lena said, because I wanted to observe before finalizing anything. His hands clenched at his sides. Observe what? Leadership, she said. Culture. Values. She tapped the folder lightly. And how you treat people when you think nothing is at stake. One of the board members whispered, Marcus, the filings. He ignored them. You staged this whole thing. I chose a vantage point you wouldn't perform for, Lena said. Power reveals itself when it believes it's unchallenged. The room buzzed as phones began vibrating. Notifications. Alerts. Breaking news. A gasp came from the far end of the table. It's Liv, someone said. Press release just dropped. Marcus turned sharply. What release? Lena answered calmly. North Star Robotics has entered a merger agreement with Calder Systems. The name hit like a punch. That's impossible, Marcus snapped. They're our biggest competitor. They were, she corrected. Now they're our partner. He shook his head, disbelief bleeding into anger. You can't just do this. I can, she said. And I did. She slid another document forward. The deal is finalized. Your acquisition attempt is void. Marcus stared at the paper, the edges blurring. Years of strategy, months of planning, all undone. Around him, the room shifted. Chairs scraped back slightly, eyes avoided his. One of his executives cleared his throat. Marcus, stocks already reacting. The power he was used to holding, the invisible gravity, was gone. He could feel it, slipping through his fingers. Lena straightened then, posture changing subtly. The apron no longer defined her. The room no longer loomed over her. There's one more thing, she said. He looked at her, searching for leverage and finding none. The staff here, she continued, are exceptional. Professional. Patient. They tolerated behavior they shouldn't have had to. She met his eyes. You, however, represent risk. To morale. To partnerships. To long-term value. Silence pressed in from all sides. North Star won't be doing business with Hale Dynamics, she said. Not now. Not in the future. Marcus swallowed. This is personal. It's not, she replied. It's due diligence. She took a step back, signaling the end of the conversation. Enjoy your dessert, Mr. Hale. She paused, then added, almost casually, the water was on the house. She turned and walked away, heels quiet against the floor, leaving behind a table full of people who no longer looked at Marcus with admiration. Phones rang, messages piled up, no one met his gaze. For the first time in his life, Marcus Hale stood in a room where his money couldn't buy back control. And for the first time, he understood exactly what it felt like to be dismissed.